Blog Talk Radio.
Hey everybody, Recruiting Animal here on April 15th, 2015. And this week, I read an article on ERE by a woman named Maury Hannigan. It's a woman, and this article divides the people you might want to recruit into 9 different types. Actually, she's got it as 8 different types, but one of them is complex, so I broke it up. Usually, let me tell you, I don't like typologies, because the personality types are too hard to remember. At least for me they are, and the only types I can actually recognize in real life are people who have extreme personalities. You know, if you're extremely emotional, I can see it. If you're very pushy, a driver, I can recognize you. If you're very friendly, I can see it. If you're an extreme nerd, I can see it. But normal people, which is most people, I can't categorize them. So these types that people are telling you are going to lead to success, the ability to categorize people, I can't do it. However, these 9 types that Maury Hannigan supplies, they're normal people. They're not extreme types. They're normal people that we recruiters already know from our jobs, so it's easy to remember them. And getting used to classifying them on the spur of the moment, I'm just guessing, might help you get an idea of where you're headed with this person. So I'm going to give you a review of the 9 types, and it might take a little while, but the eating is worth it, okay? So the first 4 people, I divided it into 3 different categories. The first 4 people, major categories. The first 4 people are people you don't want to waste time on. Then there's a transitional type, and then there's the 4 people you do want to spend time with. So now here we go for the first 4 you don't want to spend time with. Number 1, the shut-ins. I think she calls them the lock-ins. I changed some of the names. Shut-ins. These are people who have something locking them into their current jobs. Could be family obligations or retention bonuses. They're not going to move. I don't know how you recognize them quickly, but you don't want to spend too much time with them. The next is happy where I am. It's the happy campers. They think they've made it in their current job with their current employer. They're not going to find anything better anywhere else in the world. Don't waste time on them either. Number 3, the job hoppers. Forget it. Number 4, the dead wood. These are people who are not good at their jobs. They've got low performance ratings. They've got dated skills, and they know it. So they know they're going nowhere, or they think maybe they'll get fired. Something's wrong with them. That's why they want to leave. So you don't want to spend time with them either. This is the transitional category. Number 5, the unemployed, okay? Some of them are the kind of people who weren't good at their jobs. So when times got tough, the company let them go first. But there's others among them who, you know, have sick parents. They had to leave a job to take care of them. For some reason that they had to leave a job. They're unemployed, not because they're no good, okay? Then you got the 4 types. I don't know, it sounded easier when I read it to myself. Anyway, and then you got the 4 types. Jerry, just hold on. I'm almost done, okay? You got the 4 types that you want to talk to. That's number 6, the ambitious people. They want to be promoted quickly. The best way to be promoted is to take a new job. This number 7, the happy butts. The happy butts. They're good. Good people. They're happy where they are, but there's something they're not getting, okay? They're ripe for the picking. Then there's the unhappies. They hate the boss. They hate the new management. Something is wrong. They're ripe for picking, but maybe they're creepy. I don't know. But, you know, that's one of the types that are going to make a move. And finally, there's the bad companies. You got a good person. They see a layoff coming. They see the company being sold. Something's wrong in the company. They want to move. So I'll just review them again. The 9 types. The shut-ins, the happy where I ams, the job hoppers, the dead wood, the unemployed, the ambitious, the happy butts, the unhappies, and the bad companies. And that's it, Jerry. So, Jerry, can you tell us, what show is this?
the Recruiting Animal Show!
You didn't last very long.
That's the
What's the
last
matter?
thing I need to hear from you.
Were you eating chips or something?
No, but you ran over, man. You were almost to the 5-minute mark, and I try to come in or plan on it at about the 3.5. So so I'd already mentally peaked.
Oh, but don't you think that was decent information?
Yeah, but a bit lengthy. You said that you had 4 points. And next thing you know, you're talking about point number 5 and 6 and 7, and I'm like, you're off the rails.
No, I said there's 3 types. There's 9 types. There's 9 types in 3 broader categories. Okay, let's go to the guest. She's a wonderful person. I'm guessing. She's a wonderful person. Her name is always reminds me of marshmallows. Holly Mallowes. I know you're there. Say hi.
We already lost her. Tony, you took too long,
I had you on mute because I was laughing at you guys
been
teasing each other. I'm here. Hi.
Hi, Holly.
Oh, yes. Wake up, dear, okay? Wake up. I already had to tell her to call in on a better phone. I checked it before the show started. Okay, Holly, let's just sing and get it out of the way, okay?
All right.
Did you study the song?
I did. I'm tone deaf, so I can't make any promises, but I'm going to go for it.
I forgot how the song goes. Jim Durbin said we should do it. It's by Daft Punk. 1, 2, 3. I source an interview. I source an interview. Come on. I source an interview. I'm up all night to get lucky. Come on. I'm up all night to get lucky. I'm up all night to get lucky. I'm up all night to get
lucky.
Lucky. You know what? See, I don't know if you're up all night getting lucky, but Maureen Sharib, she stays up all night to get lucky on these phone banks, okay? She'll call a phone bank all night long. So that's what some sources do.
I'm not surprised. She's amazing.
Yeah. I'm up all night to get lucky. I forgot how the song went. I know that's not it.
I source at night and get lucky. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Holly Mallowes, spell your name for us so everybody knows.
HOLLYMALLOWES.
And on Twitter, you're Holly Source at Holly Source Guru, okay? Guru. Yes. Okay, so you think you're some hot stuff. And I saw your picture.
It's good marketing. It's all good marketing, isn't it?
I don't know. We tend to make fun of gurus. You've set a high bar for yourself that you're going to have to live up to. But I'm going to read the intro you sent me today. So, I won't leave it to you. Hi, everybody. Okay. My name is Holly Mallowes. I'm just a passionate, hardworking, tenacious chick, which you spelled wrong, with a low tolerance for bullshit. I'm the mom of 7 kids, 5 biological, 2 step. I never went to college, just like Jerry, and I started working at a staffing agency at age 19. I worked my way.
Stop telling people that.
I worked my way into a recruiting manager position by 21. Then I turned into a corporate recruiter after 9/11. I don't know how those are related, but that's what you've got. And you learned sourcing in 2009, 8 years later, and you went independent in 2010. I've been fortunate enough to work with Shally Steckerl. It's Steckerl here.
It's spell check. I sent it to you after midnight. Steckerl.
Okay. It's Shally Steckerl, and he has become my mentor and coach. Currently, I consult for various clients nationwide. I train sourcers. I've done lots of speaking engagements on sourcing. And let me ask you, Holly, if you were a box of cereal, what would you be?
Ooh, Captain Crunch Berries.
Oh, really? And why's that? There's no right or wrong answer.
Choice.
Yeah, because you got the regular cereal there. It seems normal. It's just a normal sugary cereal, but then you get the berries, and there's you get these bursts of
I don't like that answer.
Fantastic.
I wouldn't hire you. I don't ask those kind of questions, but it's supposed to reveal something about the person. Nothing I want to know.
I just love that. It's my favorite cereal.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a question for you. I was reading, I think, on my Facebook group in one of the comments that someone was complaining that AIRS training is dated. Now, you've taken the AIRS training. It was very important for you, apparently, right?
It was. Yep. I actually started doing the AIRS training in 2009 when a company that I worked for was trying to do away with job boards. So they decided they were going to teach the full cycle recruiters how to source.
Yeah.
So they selected out of about 50 recruiters, they selected 5 of us to take the full year's worth of the AIRS Recruiter Academy, and then come back and actually train the rest of the team. So
yeah.
At that point, back in 2009, I needed that because, sourcing, you always source, right? You're always searching for candidates as a recruiter, but to really learn, all of the art behind it and learn the Boolean and learn the ins and outs and all the cool tips, tricks, and how to do it without job boards, that's where I learned it. So I think that
slow down, okay? You're talking so fast.
Ahead.
I don't think anyone can understand what you're saying. Okay. So,
sure.
But here's the thing: you say after years. This is what you say. I think on your LinkedIn profile. After years of working as a full cycle recruiter, I found my passion for sourcing when I took my first AIRS class. Since then, I have dedicated myself to becoming a sourcing guru. I've taken over 60 sourcing training classes. What do you get from class number 20 after you've already taken 19?
There's always something new. There's always new tools. There's, you figure Google changes their search engine. So there's updates.
Yeah, you know what? You're not answering my question. First of all, I asked you if AIRS was dated.
I learned new things.
Did you answer my first question? Is the AIRS training dated?
I think it is now. For me, and it is personally. If you know nothing about sourcing, then it'll definitely have value. But I don't think it's changed enough. It's still the same as what it was when I took it in 2009.
Okay, so you've taken 60 sourcing training classes.
Wow.
What was the last thing you learned? What did you learn in class number 60?
So I think it does get redundant, but I think the last thing that I learned, things with messaging, right? So different cool ways to, Steve Levy was showing how to do sourcing on the U.S. patent website. I'd never seen that. So
yeah,
that's
something
new.
I
do learn something new.
Jerry, don't you have anything to say? Because here she's taken 60 training classes, and you say...
That's astonishing.
Everybody could do this, right? It doesn't take any real... Not everybody's equally good, but you think there's really nothing to sourcing, right?
Once you've been through maybe 2 or 3 AIRS training courses, I would think that you've got 60? Come on.
But they're not all on the same thing. They're not all on Boolean. They're not all on cold calling.
What else could they be on? I mean,
so different sites to search, different ways to look at them, different. There's the creative aspect of it, right? So there's if a machine could do it, right? If there wasn't a human aspect to things that made it different.
Hold on. She's taken every course to be lucky. Okay, that's what it sounds like. Or else she gets them for free because she's been in so many. Okay, let's just pass. I mean, we can't understand.
Oh, they're not all paid. Absolutely not. And so the AIRS ones are paid, Sourcing Institute. But most of the ones that I take are the free webinars. I mean, I want to stay relevant. I want to stay on top. I want to take initiative.
What free webinars? The ones from recruiting blogs?
They do have. Yep, they have those. They have
like when Carmen, a past guest on this show, when she has a webinar, you attend?
I would attend, and even like Irina has some free ones that she'll put out too. And I haven't paid for any of her courses yet, so I can't speak to any of that training. But I've definitely taken quite a few of her free classes that she has.
Okay. Now you say on your LinkedIn profile that you're an expert in Boolean logic. We keep hearing that Boolean is out of date. Is that true?
I don't think so, because it streamlines your search. You need to use Boolean language everywhere you go, so you're not. It saves you. Instead of doing 5 searches using various keywords, you can combine them and do it in one search. It's efficiency.
Okay. X-ray, is that still a valid technique, or is that something dated?
It's older, but it still works for certain things that I want to do. Like, I don't need to X-ray LinkedIn anymore. I mean, things like that doesn't work. But if I want to search, say it's a Chemical Engineers Association website, and I want to quickly find documents on that site rather than just going through their sitemap, then sure, that's a fast way.
Can you tell the beginners what an X-ray is?
Sure. An X-ray search is it's basically the site : command in Google where you can return results from a specific web page. So, a specific web page. So using the URL, all you have to know is basically LinkedIn.com or, Walmart.com. Whatever it is you're looking for, you put site colon and that website, and it returns only results from that website.
Yeah.
So you're eliminating.
You talk fast, okay?
I do.
You put into Google site colon
no spaces
and no www, just the URL like LinkedIn.com space, and then your search terms, right?
And then your keywords or your Boolean search string.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Now, flip search. I think that's the first sourcing hack I ever heard of. I think it was in the 1990s. You've got it listed on your URL.
I don't think I ever took it off. I'm going to be real honest with you. I think I put it on there when I was creating my LinkedIn profile. I don't really use
flip search? It doesn't work anymore, does it? I think all the security
I have no idea. I haven't done it in years since I took the AIRS class, honestly.
Well, that's honest, okay?
I got to tell you.
Anybody else interested in flip search who's on the line who can tell us about it? No? I think it was one of the first things in the security guys. You used to use Alta Vista search engine to do it, and the security guys plugged that hole. Okay, power searching. You say you're good at power searching. What's that?
So power searching is basically doing, your extravagant, beautiful Google search string. It's a key term, power searching, because some employers, that want to look for people that have AIRS training, they know that power searching is basically just, the Google search string using these AIRS techniques or using this Boolean language or logic. So that's more of almost like a marketing term to put on your profile.
But
so
let me
people are
give an
searching
example.
for it.
Glenn Cathy, when he's doing a diversity search for a woman engineer or something like that, he'll put in 300 female names that are common in a specific country. Okay, is that a power search?
I guess. I mean, if he's getting something great out of it, but that's not what I see a power search as. My definition of a power search is creating, a Boolean syntax correct search out in Google.
Okay. I just said, how many terms will you put into a search? Like he's putting 300 names in there. Will you create a?
No, absolutely not. I don't do that. Who's got time to put 300 names into a search? I don't know. Maybe it works for him, and he's far more technical than I am. But I'm looking by job title. I'm looking by company. I'm looking by location. So my searches are specific to that. If that works for him, I don't do a lot of very specific diversity searches. Take a turn on it, but just don't do a lot of specific to that.
I need some coffee or espresso or something.
You falling asleep, Jerry?
No, I just don't have the same energy level that Holly has. She's like the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah,
and I feel like she's going so fast I can't keep up. So
I'll talk slower.
I don't know.
Take a break. Obviously, you're not contributing to the conversation, so you can just take.
This is the new
time
me.
Off. The low key, Jerry.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Okay, yeah.
Kind of
okay.
sucked.
Anybody else is welcome to. You know what? JD told me he listened to the show last week and he liked it, but he thought I should give people more chance to talk.
Who's JD for the people that don't know?
JD Jason Davis, super recruiter, founder of recruitingblogs.com.
Okay.
My former partner in recruiting.com. Okay. So nobody wants to say anybody want to say anything to Holly, Source Guru, at this point? 5, 4, 3, 2. No. Okay. The only time anyone wants to talk is when everyone wants to talk. Okay. It's true. I know the show. Okay. The final thing you've got listed is peel back. That's just taking a long URL and making it shorter. Am I right about that?
Well, so that's been actually very interesting, especially for association websites, where I've been able to track down a certain bit of information on that website or a resume or a profile, and then peel back just that person's name to kind of find the core file with additional profiles or resumes. So that I've hit jackpot a few times, just because they haven't either protected it or built anything in to firewall or block me from doing it. So, I find one little piece of information or one person's profile, peel it back by taking off that last bit of the URL, and then I sometimes find the entire file folder.
Do you remember a specific jackpot that you stayed all night to get lucky and you got lucky?
Yes, it actually was the chemical engineer. I was sourcing and recruiting for Sabic Innovative Plastics, and I was on the AICHE website, which is the Association of Chemical Engineers, and I did a site search, so did an X-ray search of their site, and was able to pull up a chemical engineer in Chicago, and I looked at the URL and noticed that it said resume / and then his name. So I just took off the last part that was the person's name and found probably another, I think it was like 40 or 50 people and their profiles and their information.
Were those people not on LinkedIn? See, this is where Jerry should get involved because this is one of his claims. Were those people not on LinkedIn?
Writing stuff down.
So it's interesting because there are some people that aren't on LinkedIn, or if you cross-reference their name, you may find their name, but it's a shell profile and they have no connections, which to me it's basically a dummy profile, or somebody put it in there for a sales lead, or maybe the person at some point, because all you need is a name and a job title to create
a shell
LinkedIn profile.
What is it? Shell profile means there's a surface but not much depth. Is that what you mean?
Yes,
okay.
So this person would not have pulled up in my search.
LinkedIn steals, we already know LinkedIn steals names from your address book. Okay, so it might be something that came from someone's address book, right?
And that I don't know. I don't know how they get in there, where they're getting in there from, but I know it's not.
We figured that out already because it suggested that Jerry link up with his 8-year-old daughter, so she didn't register. Okay.
Okay.
So, now you also teach how to pipeline candidates. What are you talking about there?
So pipelining candidates, this is where, you have a company that hires for a particular type of role all the time, or they have a project coming up and they know they're going to need a lot of people, or they're, having an acquisition or something like that, and they say, look, we need to pipeline a bunch of supply chain folks, or we need to pipeline, a bunch of these Java developers, things like that. So this is where you go out and you're identifying people, not reaching out to them yet. Reach out.
It's an animal bad word. You didn't read the site. Go ahead.
Sorry. So I'm pipelining, so I'm gathering that intel, those profiles, those leads, getting it all together and ready to go. So if and when we're ready to pull the trigger and go ahead and begin contacting, engaging these folks, you have them ready. You have a talent pool. Pipelining for some companies, that you're already engaging them, figuring out what it is they want to do, having that information, and then having them ready to go for
one
specific opening.
You've never, got 100 people in a certain kind of profession and then put them on an email list or anything like that.
I don't do email. I don't like doing campaigns.
That's what a pipeline is. That's what a pipeline is. You're just stacking some inventory to contact in the future. That's what you're doing.
Right, okay? Right. I mean, I don't do it all at once. I personalize. I send them individual, but yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you say you also specialize in competitive intelligence. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
That's like the pre-sourcing work, right? So when I know that I have an intake session coming up for for a particular role, I want to do my homework first so I can kind of figure out, I say, okay, I see the job title. This is what I'm going to be talking about today with the manager. This is the location. So I'm going to go out real quick, do a little bit of research in LinkedIn to see how many people in that area have the similar job title. What other companies may have job postings for similar job titles in that market. Basically just to come to the table with a little bit saying, well, here's going to be what you have available for a talent pool for this role if you just do it geographically. Here's what it's going to be if you open it up to a national search. So that kind of information.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, finally, you've got, it's almost final. You've said you've got experience managing offshore resources and sourcing teams. Okay. Those are the people most people hate, right?
Sure.
Okay. How good are they? I mean, they're spammers. They come on my Facebook group. They don't get on Jerry's. He's much tighter than I am. But they come on my Facebook group, and they just want to spread their jobs indiscriminately. They don't even look to see what it's about. We're looking for 30 people, or we've got 30 people to offer with this kind of background. And these guys.
Maybe you're using the teams a little bit differently. So when I say offshore teams, and when I've engaged an offshore sourcing team, they're not doing any of the contact. It's just for additional help with search, or here I've generated a list of names, and I want you to go ahead and look, because I need an extra set of hands. You go out and do the research to get me their email addresses and their phone numbers. That's how I'm utilizing an offshore resource. I'm not having them reach out, spam, obviously not calling. So I'm utilizing them as an extra pair of hands for me on the search or research portion.
You know how people are always saying, reach out to people by their personal emails, not their business email. How do you get their personal email? Except I understand how to get it through Facebook, through their Facebook URLs. But how else
so
can you find?
Can we put that towards the end? Because there's actually, I actually would like to talk about some sourcing tips for people that are on the phone today, and things that I can share with you that'll help make your
Does
sourcing.
anybody have any questions? Any questions for Holly Marshmallow? Does everyone call you Marshmallow? Hey, how do you work? How do you work with 7 kids? How old are those kids?
How do I work with 7 kids? God help me. Every day is a struggle. So no, we have for the younger ones, we have a nanny. So I've got an office that's up and away that keeps it quiet from the toddlers, and then the older ones are in school. So then my oldest one, he just turned 18. He drives. I never see him anyways. So
Yeah. Okay, so you can't outsource to these kids. They're not interested or old enough, right?
Not yet. No. And they kind of see what I do, and they know what Boolean is, though. I mean, it's funny. I've tried to get them doing a little bit.
Let me move on. You say. In fact, you wrote to me this morning. There's still a stigma out there with many recruiters and employers. They think that sourcing is a junior function compared to recruiting. I want to shed some light on what goes on behind the scenes in a day of the life of a sourcer.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Here's a good sourcer, somebody who is a professional. This is what they're doing, not that they were just hired to look at resumes. So a good sourcer does research. As I mentioned, comes to the intake session with that market intel, ideas, a plan, ready to have that intelligent discussion. They're a partner with the recruiter, not working for the recruiter as their admin or, them kind of throwing things at them. Here, upload this person to Avature. Here, go ahead and do this for me. They're seen as equals. So, there may be more junior people that eventually do want to be a recruiter, a full cycle recruiter, and that's okay. There's lots of different environments and lots of different situations.
You're not answering the question.
She sure did.
On a daily basis. So here, let me get into that. So on a daily basis.
Sorry about that, Holly.
What a sourcer's doing. So what you don't see behind the scenes, you're back there, you're doing 50 million things. You're checking emails, you're sourcing on multiple jobs, you're talking to the recruiters, letting them know what's going on, doing the screens, doing write-ups and submittals, intake sessions, tracking and reporting. So there's a lot of similar duties, if you will, to what a recruiter is doing. We're not any less busy. We're not. Our job
let me just tell you something.
Sure.
It's the exact same as a recruiter's job. You're doing a recruiter's job. The only thing you're not doing is bringing in the business.
The only thing we're not doing is what?
What?
You're not bringing in new business, but you're doing a recruiter's job. The only difference I can see is you said you limit your screens to 15 minutes, whereas a recruiter would probably take longer. Is that what you told me?
That part is true. Here's another difference. So the other thing that's different is we are not interacting with the clients. So the hiring manager.
No.
The agency
okay,
setting.
hold on. So when you do an intake, you're not talking to the hiring manager. You're talking to a recruiter. Is that right?
Well, if the job's already open, it's just a recruiter. Sometimes you talk to them, but I don't interface. Once the intake session's over, I'm not dealing with the hiring manager anymore.
Intake session, don't you ask these dummy, relationship managers? Don't you say, let me talk to the hiring manager so I can ask him intelligent questions rather than get the information from you who doesn't know anything?
If I have a chance, absolutely, yes.
Okay.
After that, I'm not dealing with those, those calls, those check-ins, all of those
so you're
things.
You're not presenting the candidates. Hold on. You're not
Go
presenting
ahead.
your candidates to the client, but you're sure enough presenting them to the recruiter.
To the recruiter, yes.
Because she is your client. Okay. There's
Correct.
nothing that you're doing that's different from a recruiter's job, in my opinion.
I've got a question.
True, Animal.
Go ahead. Who's that?
Kathy Anderson.
Hi, Holly. Oh, go ahead, Kathy.
Alice, who's talking?
Let Kathy speak.
Oh, sorry. If you're a full life cycle corporate recruiter, you do not have any time to source like Holly does or like I do. There's just no way. You're spending your whole day sourcing. You're not just positioning out candidates. You're not, doing all of the admin work within the applicant tracking system. You're not talking to the actual client. We're simply there in the background finding talent.
Yeah, but she doesn't work inside a company.
I
didn't either, and that's what I did.
Let me add to that.
Right.
Yeah. Here's my question for Holly. So you've filled both sides. You've sourced and you've recruited, right, Holly?
That's correct.
So now, if you had sourcers working for you, would you want them screening, or would you want that first touch with the candidate as the recruiter yourself?
Do you know, I'll give you this. So many people want to hear that that a sourcer is going to do that pre-screen, but you want to know what really happens on the back end? The recruiter gets lazy. So I've done my job. I've found the person. Then I pass them over to the recruiter. And they're like, they've already talked to the sourcer. I'm just going to go ahead. They did the work. So I'm going to go ahead and forward it right to the hiring manager. I think that that's a shortcut, and I think that they're being a little bit lazy. I've warmed the person up. I've got them engaged, and I pass them over to you. They have more questions before before they're ready to be interviewed.
Answer my question, Holly. I said if you were the recruiter and you were using a sourcer, would you want the sourcer screening, or would you want the first touch yourself?
No, I kind of want the first. If they reach out and they got an email back that said that yes, I'm interested, I'd want to go ahead and take the ball and run with it, personally.
So don't you think it's better to use sourcers, real good sourcers who know what they're doing, to just do the research piece and to generate name generation and find targets, and let the recruiters do the first touch and the high touch candidate management work?
I think that would actually save me a heck of a lot of time in my day. But
would it strengthen the overall team?
I'm sorry?
Would it strengthen the overall team?
I don't know. I don't see how that would make a difference.
Animal, what are you doing here, man?
I'm letting him. He's an intelligent guy. I'm letting him talk, but I'm going to answer the question now myself. The recruiter can't ask better questions than the sourcer or the researcher, whatever you want to call her. It's called candidate development. She's going to interview just as well as the recruiter. So
right, but the sourcer's not going to close the candidate.
Not necessarily. The sourcer may not know all of the ins and outs of that.
That's right.
Damn right they do, or they couldn't source for it properly.
That's not true.
Well, here's the thing, culture. So think about this, right? And think about me from a contract or from a consultant role, okay? I mean, I'm getting to know the client to the best of my ability and the questions I ask and know the job. The recruiter is the one that's typically working internal, they're embedded. They can speak far more in depth to the particular role, the history, things like that. All of the stuff in the nitty-gritty that as a sourcer, I'm not really privy to. Usually I'm here working remotely.
Hold on a second.
I don't know all the internal politics.
Hey.
What?
Your clients are corporate internal recruiters. Is that what you're telling us now?
Most of them are, yes. I do have occasional agencies or people. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you're external, so you don't know the company culture, but you assume that they do. Is that right?
Well, I feel like it's more the recruiter's job to sell them on it. I mean, I'm here to pre-screen. I want to figure out, what's your motivation? What are you making? What are you doing now? And get you off the phone and pass you to the recruiter. Like I don't have, half an hour, 45 minutes to sit here and talk to you. I've got so many people I've got to get through and try to pre-qualify them and get them, at least teed up to go ahead and pass off to the recruiter.
Yeah, but haven't you already told them on it? They're willing to move forward.
As a recruiter, I think that's crazy. If I've got a good sourcer, all I want them to do is generate targets. I want to have that first touch because I have to close the candidate. So I'll do all of that.
Do you want interested targets, or do you just want lists of names?
I want targets. I'll get them interested. That's my job.
That was another question.
That's different. Not a lot of people think that way, I think. Yeah.
Holly, this is another question I have for you. How do you get the candidates on the passive end interested in your positions?
So that's a good question, and I think that's something all of us work on. So I like to, even if it's on LinkedIn, I find someone, I try to get their personal email or their work email before I send an email. I try to get that so I can craft a message. It comes from, on that, whether it's, Northrop's email or something, so it has that signature in there, and it's not just coming as an in-mail that may be going to junk mail. So I'm sending that. If I can, if I do that first pass and I haven't gotten a reply within 24 to 48 hours, then I'll go ahead and I'll try to look up their phone number and reach out to them that way. Sometimes I'll reach out on social media, but those things can get time-consuming. So I definitely
didn't I tell you reach out is not a word I like?
Yeah, but how do you
get
that's in my repertoire.
It's forbidden on this show, and not only that, okay, you're saying you craft an email. How about you write an email? What's this craft stuff, okay?
Well, what's the difference with the outreach? It's just a word.
Well, I just want to know what word. Animal.
Maybe not for you. It's the word I use.
Holly, what do you say to the candidate once you have them and you've done your research and you have them on the phone to get them interested in your job?
So to get them interested in the particular role itself, I usually ask them what they're doing, why they're on the phone with me, why they agreed to talk with me, because I'm not typically I don't like to do a lot of cold calling, so it's a warm intro. It's that I've emailed them and that they've responded with some kind of interest. So I want to find out first before I start selling them on something that they may not even care about. What is their motivation? Like, what's their hot button? So that way I'm saving myself time, and that way I'm not sitting here selling them.
How do you figure it out? Sorry, I must have missed them.
Ask them.
How do you figure out their hot button?
Ask them right up and say, I came across your profile. It looks great. I've got this amazing job, and I wanted to know, what would be your motivation to talk with me today, or to make a move? And listen to what they have to say. Let people talk.
Is that in the email or on the phone?
No, that's when I get them on the phone and I'm talking to them. I believe that was the question.
What's in the email? First of all, what's your return rate? What's your return rate on email?
So my response rate is about 30 to 36% on average. Sometimes for particular roles, it's a little bit better, and I'll get up to 40 to 50%. But I'd say on average, overall, it's over 30, between that 30 and 40. And I'm using more creative. Well, I think it's creative, anyways. In the subject line, I get a lot of comments, and people are like, "Wow, I loved your unique approach." So searching for sales roles or things like that, I'll put in there, "I need a rock star," a couple of exclamation points.
Boy, that's exciting.
And it's just something different. And then I'll tell them, your profile caught my eye. I'm tasked, I'm a talent sourcer on XYZ team. I'm tasked with finding A players, for a particular role. Here's what we're looking for. Kind of make it exciting and interesting, and talk to them like a real person, not that it's so
okay,
professional.
But hold on a second.
Formal.
I thought you said, Kathy, I have to thank you. You're taking her in a good path. If and I'll let you come back in a second. But I thought you said you customize the email. You do a little research on them. Am I right about that, or you don't really have time?
I'm not doing research on the particular person. On occasion, if it's some high level and I have the time to do that, and there's only maybe a handful of these particular type of people, yes, I'll go in more in depth.
Okay,
but
I read an article by
email.
Rachel Gould at Yahoo. No, Rachel Saunders, and she says if she wants to get a reply, the more research she does into the candidate before she sends out an email, the higher her response rate is. So you don't have time.
Well, that's true, but if I've got 20 jobs that I'm sourcing on, and I've got to get candidates in the pipeline for all of them, how am I going to research for that many people? If you've got 10 or 20 people that are targets for each one of those, do the math. So,
it's
can
real
you do
easy.
it for the tougher ones?
It's real easy, and I've been using it, and it works. If you see that they went, let's say, to UCLA, you just find out what the mascot is at UCLA. Chances are they're into UCLA football or sports or whatever, and you use the mascot somewhere in your subject line.
Let's hear it. Let's hear an example, Kathy.
Okay, it would be like your background plus training plus UCLA Bruins plus Deloitte equals a winning combination.
Okay.
And it works.
I don't know what to say. Okay.
It works. I look up all the mascots, or I ask my husband, who's the mascot for, Nebraska.
Whatever works, honestly. I find that Rockstar resonates with salespeople. I find that, I need a coding geek works with, because geek is very cool. That word isn't a negative thing. So whatever it is, tailor it to your audience. So I'm trying to get creative with the messaging, and it works.
And how do you get
I got a placement at Deloitte, and then I'll get off. But I saw that she was really into cooking and really into cooking, so I incorporated that into the in-mail, and we got hired because I wasn't going to answer your in-mail, but you obviously are into cooking.
How did you know?
So another way I would recommend is that you find them, where you found them is on LinkedIn. Instead of sending the intro or in-mail or that first connect through LinkedIn, go find their blog. Go find their Twitter.
Yeah.
Find something that says, I went a little bit deeper than your LinkedIn. My second thing is, it is Jeff Newman. The second thing I like is that if you are using a template on LinkedIn in-mail, which I don't think is a bad thing, own the fact that you're sending a template in the subject. Hey, it's spam in a template, and here's why. And then in your in-mail, you say, listen, I hate spam as much as you, but you have the buzzwords. I know you're getting intonated. Here's what makes me different. And then explain why, and then say, let's talk about it on the phone, and you'll see this isn't my usual approach, but sometimes needs drive methods, and that's just how the ball rumbles. I get usually about a 30% response rate on that, and people like it. But I also make the email funny and listen, I'm a recruiter, not a stalker, so if you delete me, that's cool. I promise I won't show up in front of your house with a van, You make a little joke in there, and people respond to it.
Let me ask something to Jeff, okay? Like malapropisms, like inundated, is that instead of inundated? Is that something that you put in and to make them laugh? Is that just a?
That was just to make us laugh, and also because I read a lot but don't hear people say words like inundated, so I say them in my head.
Okay. Aren't you like 40 years old? I'm sure you've heard inundated a few times already. Let me ask you something. Are you modifying or toning down your accent so when you go out to interviews you sound more like a normal person? Because I wasn't 100% sure it was you.
I am trying, and I've been actually concerned that I'm too New York, too Jewish, too fat, too something.
No, I love the accent. I think it's great.
I'm just me. That's been my success, is that I don't pretend to be someone else, but I think it's shitting all over my interviews because I have never been unemployed this long.
No, tell everybody what you're looking for. So if somebody knows something and they want a fat, short, funny guy, they'll
I'm
recommend
looking for a place where I can recruit, where I can bring in people who fit the culture and fit the skill set we're looking for to make great teams. That's what I want. I don't care what my title is. I'm less concerned about money than making a difference.
Am I right?
Recruiting in San Francisco. I'm interviewing today in Palo Alto.
You're supposed to be a good communicator, and he can get a good referral from his previous boss, Martin Burns. Not his immediately previous boss, but Martin Burns, who's now with up.
Well, when you have 4 managers in 2 years, it's hard to figure out which boss you should ask for
we all know
reference.
Recruiter Mo. At Recruiter Mo, he will give Jeff a good reference. How come I have to introduce people? They can't do it themselves. You know what? I probably couldn't either. Thank you, Jeff. Let's come back to Marshy Mallow, our
Thank you,
guest.
Michael.
Okay. No, you're welcome to come back in. I just want to see we cut her off. So you email people first. That's your first point of contact, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what do they say when they write back?
So typically, when they write back, I'll get a mixed bag, right? Of hey, liked your outreach. That's creative. I might be the rock star you're looking for, or what have you. Usually something a little bit more personalized. And then I get the other handful of people, like you mentioned in your intro, that are, thank you, I appreciate it. I appreciate your kind words. I'm very happy where I'm at. Let's talk in the future. Let's connect. Keep in touch for future opportunities. Then we get other people that, depending on the company.
Wait a sec. That's what Alejandra was talking about. When someone says, I'm happy where I am, think about me for the future, will you go after that person and try to sway them? Alejandra, would you do that?
If it's the person that I know, like there's some, like if I'm reaching out to 10 people, I'm like, on the fence with these 5, but these other ones are the hot ones. Yeah. I may come back to them and just say to them, look, would you mind just talking to me for 5 minutes so I could kind of determine what would make, in the future, what opportunities would be interesting to you, get a little bit more information. Sometimes they shoot me down and say no, but sometimes they will say yes, and they're like, I've got 5 minutes, I'll talk to you real quick. And then from there, I can kind of talk about their motivation and hopefully try to get them to, get convinced enough. This is why that passing it over to the recruiter and to get them to do that sell is important, and not just pass along my screen or my candidate that I've teed up for them directly to the hiring manager.
That's why
you're
I don't want
recommending
my
to the
sourcers
Go ahead,
with the first touch. I want to do the first touch because if I run into that, yes, I am going to sell against the indifference. I am going to try and overcome it. I'm going to try and dig. If you're a sourcer and you're good, do what you do. Let me do my part.
I wish more recruiters thought like
point.
that, honestly, because and this is the reason why I found that I liked sourcing better than recruiting, is because I get anxiety. I give full cycle recruiters and agency recruiters so much credit. That negotiation, closing the deals, people waffling back and forth, those are the things that would keep me up at night and cause me so much stress. I loved the hunt. I like being a little bit more behind the scenes, just kind of getting people warmed up, warm and fuzzy, but that art that you guys have of closing things or dealing with those difficult conversations is not my strong suit. I like to be out there.
The other important part of it is the first touch is going to influence the close. So that's the other reason I don't want to give up the first touch to anybody. I want first touch.
Wait a second. Let me ask Jerry about this. He uses a very good sourcer, in fact, a number of them, but Jerry prides himself on being a good salesperson. Jerry, are you there?
Oh, I'm here. I'm just listening.
Okay. What do you do with your sources? If somebody, tells them I'm not interested at the present time, but they're good, will you call those guys? Or do you
I don't
them?
need to hear about it. No.
No.
They're not only sourcing, they're recruiting.
So here's the thing, like my husband does sourcing too.
I don't need a pile of people that aren't interested. I mean, they're recruiters. They're not just sourcers.
Okay.
So here's something interesting too. There's different types of sourcers, right? I tend to be, just because I'm an outgoing person in general. Like I like to talk. I can be personable and I can talk to people. So I end up doing phone work. But you have my husband, who is amazing at tech stuff, sourcing, search. But he's not client-facing, like meaning that he doesn't call people. He's an introvert. He's amazingly fast. He can find you, cloud, Hadoop, big data, these iOS developers, because he's very technical. But he doesn't like being on the phone. He will not screen candidates by phone. He'll do pre-screens via email if you want him to, and kind of send that information along to the recruiter. But he will not call candidates.
Does he talk to you much?
After a few beers.
Maybe why. I'm sorry, I had to say it.
Okay, hold on a second. Is Stephen G. Davis, recruit for you, is he on the line, or do I have to read what he's posting here on Twitter? Are you on the line, Steve? No. He says he used a tagline in an email: I quit my job working for Nike, just couldn't do it anymore, and he got a response. I don't know if that's
spammy though. Like, I feel like if someone sends me a line that's a little bit too cheesy or it's too long, I feel like it's like just one of those marketing things. No?
I don't know. But anyway, I was advertising Jeff Newman. He's good. He's worth talking to. If you're looking for a corporate recruiter, he's good, but he didn't say how to get in touch with him. What's wrong? I mean, that's not representing yourself very well, okay? But
well, you cut me off. I'm all over the place. Google my name with the word recruiter. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn.
Newman,
I'm on
NEWMAN, or just get in touch with me, Animal, on Twitter, and I'll put you in touch with them. Okay, so you know what? The show's getting away from us. It's almost over.
Can I ask Newman what kind of phone's he on? What's the deal there, man?
Well, since I can't speak from a landline anymore because all I have is a cell phone because I'm unemployed, I'm using the cell phone.
Oh, okay. Just wondered.
Okay. I apologize.
No, just wondered. It's okay.
I'm just stressing. Now, he's not representing himself that well today, but he's worth talking to. Okay, I would hire him. Okay, so.
Well, why don't you?
Because I don't have any staff.
Make a commitment.
I'm not in San Francisco either. Okay. Well, he doesn't have to be. Let's talk with Marshmallow Holly before the show's.
It's a shame my name's not Marsha, huh? That would have been far more entertaining.
No. I like Holly. It's fine. Marshmallow's a good nickname. Okay. So, okay. So we've got to the point where you've talked to the person, pass them on to the recruiter. Is there anything else you want to tell us about the day of a sourcer, a day in the life of the sourcer? What percentage of your people come from LinkedIn? What percentage of your people come from LinkedIn? 90?
I'd say about half of them.
Only half?
Well, I bet you if I cross-reference some of the other ones I found, they'd be on LinkedIn. But I'd say that I split up my searching and my sourcing between... I'd say, maybe about half, like I said, but maybe there's 75% of them, because the other 25% have profiles.
How do you decide to find, so hold on, you've said, you know what, half of the people I find probably have profiles on LinkedIn, but I find them somewhere else. Why is that? Like, how do you...
Think about the keywords, right? I think sometimes people get a little bit too specific with their keywords, and they eliminate people in their searching. So if they didn't happen to have, a particular keyword that you're using, because you're looking at a job description, and you're like, oh, this person's got to have, this and this and this. Well, you got to remember, it's a profile. It's not a resume on LinkedIn. So if you put in too many keywords and this person hasn't built out their LinkedIn profile to match their resume, it may just say what company they work for in the job title. So sometimes you need to reverse engineer it, in order to go back and find those people.
Yeah, okay.
And you can do that.
Okay, hold on. Glenn Cathy says 2/3 of the people on LinkedIn who are qualified for your jobs will not be found using the obvious search terms. True or false?
I agree.
Okay. So you might prefer to find somebody on a chemical engineer professional association site even though they're actually on LinkedIn with a shell profile. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because you can find a little bit more. Well, A, we're going back to Kathy's point. You can find a little bit more information about them. But B, once you have that information there with them, you can then search by their name. Sometimes there's other ways to contact them through that association or track them down. The other thing I do too is sometimes if I find somebody outside of LinkedIn, I can then go in, plug their name into LinkedIn, run an extension on their public profile, and then find their personal email address. So
what is that?
What do you mean
extension? Like CellHack?
Yes, I use CellHack, Profit. I use Lipple, and I use Connect 6. I used to use Connectify, but then they wanted to charge me, so I kind of told them to shove it, and they said no.
Okay, so you're the first person besides Dean DaCosta who actually uses the cool tools, I think.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. I know some sourcers that do, and I think, I don't know why more people aren't using them. And honestly, for a recruiter that doesn't have a lot of time to do sourcing, they should totally be using them. They're easy. It's a no-brainer. You don't have to know complicated Boolean. All you got to do is find someone's name and look it up. Yeah.
So
I'm addicted to Profit for Recruiters, one of the new, I think it's recruiting tools.
Yep.
I've been directly, during my interview process, I've been sending emails to the CEOs, beyond just the ATS application. And I'm finding so many direct emails using Profit for Recruiters. I cannot wait to use it as a
free
recruiter.
Tool?
It's a free tool. If you Google Profit for Recruiters, you have to use a Chrome browser. It will direct you to a place where you put in your email, and then you get a free beta. It's not in the store. And you can only use it on a Chrome browser. So you Google Profit for Recruiters. It will direct you to a site.
Is that spelled
you put in your email, and then you get an invite.
No, it's like Moses was a prophet or Ezekiel. Like in the Bible,
like the prophet Abraham, not the prophet. Let's make some money. PROPHET.
If we're on the tools section and we're kind of talking about that, let's kind of go with that for a second. So if you're
the show's almost over, believe it or not. So that's probably where
let me share this then, so you have some takeaways. As far as talking about tools and things that work, Lipple, LIPPL. That is in the App Store. That's a Google Chrome extension, and that works with Facebook. So
what does
when you pull someone's,
what does it do?
It gives you their Facebook email address, which the vast majority of the people that set up Facebook use their personal email address. So you send them a message, and I've tested it. I've sent it to people I know personally, like personal connections using this, and it did go to their personal email address. So it's another tool. Connect 6, I do like. That also will run on multiple profiles.
Say it slower.
You understand? She cannot slow down, dude.
Running out.
No. It's not that much at a time. Just say
She's got an heirs training course to take this afternoon. Yeah. She needs to finish this up.
Course number 61. Okay, Connect 6. Connect.
Yep, Connect and the number 6.
And then the numeral 6.
Together.
The word Connect with the numeral 6, right? It's also it's a Chrome extension.
It's a Chrome extension,
right?
Yes.
Okay, what does it do?
And that does the same thing. It runs over either over LinkedIn profiles or other social media profiles. Same thing. It runs along the side, and when you hover, even in names, when you're doing searches, you can hover over a person's name, and it will automatically search Google and try to find contact info on them. So that is a more versatile extension because it's not specific to any one social media site. It can be used in numerous places, whereas Lipple only works on Facebook, and Profit works best on LinkedIn profiles. Connect 6 will work any place that there's a name because when you hover over it and it's activated, it will search the internet and try to find a personal email address or contact info for them.
You know what else is good is
Kathy?
I love Sidekick. I absolutely adore it.
What is it?
Sidekick. And you can get that from the Chrome store as well. And
what does it do?
It not only gives you the email addresses, but it tells you every time that person opens your email. Is
that free?
Yep.
Cool. All right, I'll check that out too. Thank you.
Okay, Lipple, they didn't get it. LIPPL. Okay. Okay. Just so Steve knows, I do have it's not Animal Show is not a Twitter address. Just plain Animal. Okay. Okay, so go next tool, Holly, Source Guru.
Okay, so a couple things for efficiency. Don't reinvent the wheel every day. You don't have time for that. When you do a search, save your search strings. If it's in Google, bookmark it. Save search agents everywhere you go. Use Google Alerts. It's not just for notifications, for layoffs and industry news. Set up alerts for your frequent searches that you have going on. You can use Boolean in Google Alerts, so use that to your advantage. Use templates for frequent responses. I have about 10 signatures in my Outlook. Basically, it's for that pre-screen template saying, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you." My thanks but no thanks letter. Someone replied back to me but didn't send me their resume. So all of those things that you
how many
times
times
on a daily
will you
basis,
pepper someone with return emails if they don't reply the first time?
How many times if they don't? I'd say, maybe twice, but no more than that. After that, then you're just kind of harassing them.
Really?
I don't know.
Okay. Next.
Well, Animal, why are you shocked at that?
Because there's other people who say do it 5 times, okay?
That's
Holy
foolish.
hell. You know how annoyed I would be
That's
if somebody
absurd.
did it 5 times? I'd be like, man, get off my ass. I would hate that. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Also, something free to mention for everybody, and I don't know how many people do consulting or work for smaller companies. Maybe this is the wrong audience, but there's a free applicant tracking system called Smart Recruiters. It's web-based. I don't use it as an applicant tracking system. I use it to post jobs when I consult for smaller clients because it posts out free simultaneously to Glassdoor, Simply Hired, Indeed, and 5 more free sites. So if you have an employer, you have a company that wants you to post out some jobs, and you don't have much of a budget for advertising, Smart Recruiters is a great functionality, and it's something I use when I consult for companies that don't give me access to any CRMs or applicant tracking systems.
So you have all your people on Smart Recruiters or search by search?
No, only for certain customers. Some of them I have to use their Avature or whatever they'd like for me to use, and some just want me to manually track it on a spreadsheet.
Okay, here's the last question I think I have time for.
Sure.
So you're switching on every search from industry to industry, is that right? And profession to profession.
Yeah,
right?
a lot of different. I have a lot of different. Yep. Mm-hmm.
You're a generalist, right?
Yes, very much. I sometimes have sales.
Everybody says you can only be good if you're a niche player. You don't believe that's true, do you?
No. I think you're good if you have a good core set of skills, like recruiters, right? If you know how to interview, you know how to sell someone, you know how to close a deal.
Okay. But what if you don't have the
engineer
industry knowledge? Could you still do a good interview?
Wow, you need to teach yourself. You need to do your homework. You can't just wing it. You really need to know what you're talking about. Speak intelligently.
But as a sourcer, you got to pick up the keywords very quickly. You got to learn the buzzwords,
You got to look it up. You got to do your research. You can't just. You have to know what you're talking about. You're right.
So how much prep time goes into your search?
Oh, well, let me tell her.
Some are more difficult than others. I know a lot about sales. I'll know a lot about corporate. But if it's a new role I've never worked on before, for for some farm animal products, for Bayer Pharmaceuticals or something, that's going to take me a little bit longer because I want to know what that person does.
A little bit longer. What does that mean? A half an hour?
Depends. Either I can ask the hiring manager, but
5 hours,
half an hour doing a little bit of pre-research.
Animal. I can tell that you feel like you're up against a hard stop at 1:00 because of the all-important after show. Let me just say, this is actually a valuable conversation. I would rather hear her than us yapping about her.
Okay.
So I'm bypassing the animal show for whatever time is needed.
Holy Marshmallow.
Stuff. Finally, for once on this show.
You have a little time for us? Okay. So
I do. I do.
I did a search once with a well-known recruiter, and it was for an electric motor company, different kinds of motors. I didn't know anything about electric motors, so he kept telling me to go to Wikipedia. So that's
a good source of info, yeah.
Will you go and study electric motors on Wikipedia?
Yeah, I was actually I actually sat there in the shower one day watching YouTube videos, literally taking a shower, having my phone up, sitting on the edge, watching a YouTube video on Hadoop. Because I wanted to learn about it. I wanted to know the backstory. I wanted to know everything I could know as I'm going out and doing these, searching for big data architects. It was a new search for me. I wanted to know, what's Hadoop? How did it start? What does it mean? So that way when I'm reading a profile and a resume, I know what I'm looking at.
Okay, but everybody says, I got to be, this is a real important thing, I think. I got to be a specialist, but it sounds to me like if you were becoming a recruiter tomorrow, you could set up on a new desk in a flash and not say it's going to take me 6 months to make money. You could start making money right away because you don't really have to have a strong background in order to work a certain field, right?
You just have to take initiative. You just have to take initiative to learn about it yourself,
Do your homework.
and that makes a difference. I think is
your
personality.
Kathy, don't leave before I ask you this question, but I have to finish this topic with Holly first.
Yes, and there is no after show, so we have all day, people.
No, but I don't know who's going to listen to a 90-minute show, okay? But I mean, it's interesting.
Who's going to listen to any of the show? It's just us. Pretending that there's some other audience there.
Okay, Holly.
Yeah.
So hold on. Let's just see your Twitter address is Holly Sourcer. No, Holly Source Guru. Okay, so people know. But so let's say a recruiter calls you and says, Holly, do you have any experience with pharmaceutical, quality control engineers? And you say no. I've never worked a search like that before. Oh, okay, I better look for somebody else. What would you say?
I'd say, actually, you know what? Let me tell you what experience I do have, and I would speak to my healthcare background, why it's relevant, and how I could quickly ramp up, and how I've been successful in the past doing that. I mean, I was an IT recruiter for years, and then I got thrown into nursing. Like, it literally, from one day to the next, I went right from recruiting IT people to recruiting nurses. I had no idea. I got yelled at by a nurse practitioner because I was trying to call her about an RN job. You figure that out quick. It's like, you get burned. You're like, okay, maybe I need to learn more about this. So you sell them on what your capabilities and your ability to learn. People are teachable. Just because I've never done and recruited for that.
And I'm telling you what I've been told. Why should I use you, who've done 3 searches for nurses, when I can go to this person who's done 50 for them?
It depends upon their results. It depends upon what their exactly what their capabilities. You could have somebody that's been a sourcer for another big pharmaceutical for 10 years, but their skills are outdated. They haven't kept up with things.
So that's kind of putting the other guy down that you don't necessarily know that much about. You only know yourself, okay?
Right. So I would sell them on my ability, my flexibility, my capabilities of searching. And
you have to say to them essentially, look, pal, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm a good recruiter. I'm a good sourcer. Right. Give me anything, and I'll bring in the right people.
It's faster for me to learn about your pharmaceutical job than it is for you to take a sourcer that knows pharmaceuticals and teach them how to source better.
Oh, my God, I am so on page with that, man. A good recruiter doesn't know the skills they're looking for. They know how to talk about the skills, but more importantly, they know human beings. If you can do the buzzwords, you can find the right person.
They know how to ask questions.
That's right, and how to listen.
Yes.
And how to listen. And that's it. You don't need anything fancy. I feel comfortable saying within 1 week I could be ramped up to recruit for anything, just like you did. Watch a video on Hadoop. Learn how to say it correctly. And then when you talk to your candidate, you say, listen, I know people. I know nothing about your skill set.
Now I've pictured Newman in the shower watching the video on Hadoop. And it's
I don't think some people are lazy or are waiting for this information or this knowledge to just fall from the skies. And that's not how it works. I mean, you have to take that initiative. You have to be out there selling yourself. You have to make sure that you're staying relevant in order to make money in this industry. I mean, that's what I think it is. It's like, if not, other people are going to pass you by. They're going to get the jobs. You have to stay on top of those things. And you know what? You're right. Maybe I don't have that particular experience, but I'll try my hardest and I'll do a good job for you. I promise that,
If you don't know about something and you call a candidate with good questions to learn from that candidate as you're doing the job, as you're sourcing or recruiting for it, they're going to respect you for that. And they're going to inform you and teach you things about it that you're not going to find online.
No, I don't think they respect you for not knowing stuff. Okay, I really don't.
I just placed somebody and got $105.
Oh, sorry, Alejandro. Go on. I'm sorry, man.
No, we just placed somebody, got $105,000 billing on them, and I didn't know anything about education, and I was learning as I went and learning from him at the same time.
It's not that they respect you for not knowing it. They respect you for admitting that you don't know it.
Your fee was $105,000?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, that does it for me.
I just need 3 of those a year.
Animal, I'm going to stop talking bad about Alejandro when you and I are having our private conversation.
Okay.
There you go.
This guy's got it going on.
I happen to know the guy he's working with, and I know it to be true, and that's probably on the low end of the fees this guy gets.
Congratulations on that.
Sitting at Jeff's old desk.
Please.
So hold on a second, Newman. You got a lead from Michael Cox. He put it on Twitter for you, just so you don't miss it. Okay.
Oh,
he was,
awesome!
Okay.
And I got a lead from someone who was listening to the call from Visa as we're talking. So thank you.
Okay.
Virtual
Good.
hugs.
Good.
Don't imagine me in the shower.
All those leads
Virtual
from
hugs is all I will accept.
the recruiters who actually make placements group coming through again, huh?
Okay. Yes, Holly came.
It always does. It always does.
Ding, ding.
Holly came to the show through Jerry's group on Facebook.
No.
Okay?
Nobody's
Yes.
even heard of my group. It's all
That's
because
right.
of you, Animal.
It's because it's a closed group. That's why. Okay.
Yeah,
And it's called Recruiters Who Actually Make Placements. It's very hard to get in, okay? It's the Bolshevik Party. It's the
membership
Bolshevik
is
Party.
closed. We sealed it off at 800.
Yeah, okay.
It's like the
Okay.
fire marshal. Back when
I
my
think
name
that's what
was played,
happened.
there'd be no more
Create a
people
special
inside.
circumstance. You need to get Alejandro in that, even though he doesn't have a Facebook account.
I posted about Alejandro on Facebook. People were
He'll never
criticizing
make
him.
it in this business if he's not on Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always me.
Okay. How if I put in the based on what Kathy said, if I put in an email, like a cold email, if I put, how about those Blue Jays, eh? will that get me a response?
You got to put in more than that. You didn't listen to my whole spiel there.
Okay, I put in chemical engineer. What's the next one? Toronto
Plus.
Blue Jays.
Plus Go Cubbies. Plus.
Okay, if Toronto, the Blue Jays are our baseball team, Kathy. If you were recruiting for a chemical engineer in Toronto or sourcing, what would you put in the subject line?
Well, I don't know any of the vernacular for chemical engineering, but I'd probably say your background, all right, plus...
Give me a real one. Give me a real one that you've done.
I am. Okay, I'll give you a real one that I've done. Let me look it up.
I'm just surprised that you guys still keep trying to be in baseball. Shut it down.
Okay.
Blue Jays suck.
What do you mean? Okay, well, this is another one. Like I'm recruiting, I'm sourcing for Workday candidates, okay? So for the U.S. Delivery Center down in Orlando. So I put in there, how would you like to start your Workday at Deloitte? So it's a play on words. Workday is a cloud technology, in case you don't know. You know,
Okay.
things like that.
Okay. Thank
Who
you.
I
Kathy.
interviewed with and turned me down.
Why?
Who's this?
That was
It's
Jeff.
Jeff.
I interviewed with Workday for a recruiter position in San Francisco, and then it changed from a perm position to a contract, then it changed from an engineering recruiter to an SG&A recruiter, and then it changed
again.
again.
This is totally different. You should contact me. This is a whole other part of Deloitte. So you should contact me.
Okay,
Cool.
talk to Kathy Manis after the show. Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay. So hold on a second. So, Holly, still on the line? Holly.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good. Don't scare me. Okay?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Is there anything else important? Like, we're over time already. Is there anything else burning that you want to talk about? You can come back for other stuff that I've got to ask you another time. But is there anything else that you want to talk about?
Oh, goodness. So I think we I had my bullet points, right? So what makes up the qualities of a successful sourcer? So I think we talked about that. How other companies are using sourcers, I don't know that really matters if people are interested in that, so that's okay.
What do you mean by that?
And I think the only other thing is so different companies, because I've consulted for lots of different organizations, they use sourcers in very different ways.
Yeah.
And, and they pay different. Like, there's such a big variety of what sourcers are doing for companies. Like, RPOs, they suck. They pay terrible. They overwork you. And, you're typically just kind of like, you're spinning your wheels every day. I've worked in an RPO environment for Marriott, and I was basically an admin in a high-volume situation, and all I did is spend my time in Taleo all day just positioning candidates. I wanted to stab myself in the eye with a fork. But then you have, like, other good-case scenarios where it's, like, smaller tech startups or companies that get it, and they see sourcers. They let them be the subject matter experts. They build teams of them. They allow you to, kind of try new things. So I think that's something, it's very, very different. And then sometimes companies think that, we've hired a sourcer. This is going to fix all of our problems. Sourcing can save them money in agency fees or help them with their time to fill, but sourcing, a good sourcer doesn't fix like a company's crappy reputation, or they'd have like no marketing strategy. A sourcer isn't a Band-Aid. So I think those are the things that, what sourcing is doing, how they're valued, how companies are using them.
Yeah, I had another question for you, and I forgot. Oh, money. Do you talk money?
Yep. Yeah, sure.
Like, tell us how so you're doing, in the pre-screen, you're talking money.
Mm-hmm.
That's the last question. How do you handle those things?
Oh, so I thought you meant how sources are paid. Okay.
No.
So you mean
you talk
the
money
candidates.
with the candidates that you're recruiting.
Ooh, so I will typically ask them, and this is one of those touchy subjects, because if they're very passive and you come out the gates with, hey, how much are you making, you're going to really turn them off. So you've got to be a little bit delicate with it and ask them, say, this particular role, what are you looking in? What range? Like, are you comfortable sharing with me where you're at now and, where you'd like to be? And then see what they say.
Uh-huh.
I try to not give them the range the employer's looking for because I don't even want to go there. I don't want to close the deal. That's the stuff that stresses me out. So, I can tell them if they're in range or not, and then I'll tell them, the recruiter is, far more capable to discuss that with you and based on experience. And I kick it to them. I really do. I don't want to have that conversation. And what happens if I say it wrong? I'm a contractor. I went and shot myself in the foot.
Here's something that contradicts what Alejandro was saying. Okay.
Because
by putting it as a double layer, the recruiting process, you can actually get information out of the potential candidate or the candidate, and but without having to confront some of the do or die issues, because you can defer them to the recruiter later on and get the guy interested in the position, and then the money can come up as an additional issue later on, rather than making it the first thing they want to talk about. You have a deniability. What do they call it when the president can say he's got deniability? Yeah,
right.
You've got that.
Right. And sometimes for high-level searches, I don't feel
anyway.
comfortable asking that. And I'll be talking to someone, and they're very, very high up, and, they're an executive. And, I'm just not comfortable. And I'll tell the recruiter that. And I said, you know what? I was talking to him. He's very, very passive. I didn't feel comfortable asking, so you're going to need to figure that out yourself.
The whole point is you can do it anyway. What you got to figure out is what's going to be the best way,
right.
Or the better than most of the time way, And that's what you're trying to find. I think that if you've got a specialist like Holly, let her specialize. What's the point? I don't want to give up any of that influence. That's just me.
Well, obviously, there's lots of people who just want name gen. You just want name gen.
Yeah, Alejandro, what's the problem if Holly's influence is good and someone can land on your desk?
Because she may be better elsewhere, and my influence is not so shoddy. So why don't I do my job?
Well, why
don't you let her make your job easier?
Yeah, why can't she do the preliminary?
She is.
Find out if they're eligible to work in the U.S. or.
I think you're a control freak, Alejandro.
I don't think I'm a control freak.
Now, I could argue that some of that information could actually be gathered via email because, as I said, my husband does it. So he gets all of that via email. It just depends what the client's expectations are and what they need and what they want. If I've got a good company with a good contract, I like the people, like the team, you know what? All right. So, it takes up more of my time. And, I've got to schedule these screens and whatnot. But,
and to use your analogy, Jerry,
yeah.
You're a baseball guy. Why don't you use your closers to start the game if they're strong pitchers? Because someone who's a specialist, you should let them specialize.
I think some of the pushback I get on that is that they don't want their recruiters are so busy that they don't want them to waste their time if they could have been screened out up front. So that's the argument I get. Yeah,
that's true, and I think that's a good point.
Okay, go ahead, Kathy.
I'm sorry. I should never talk on Animal Show. I should never talk.
I said go ahead.
You talk now.
I said go ahead.
Technically, this is now my show, though. It's my time, which I've relinquished to Animal, so you're free to say whatever
you want. Thank you. I don't hear any heavy signs, so I guess that's an okay sign. But, Holly, I posted it on Twitter. I don't know if you've heard of it, but also Wanted Analytics.
Yep.
Have you used that?
I have not. I think I did a demo with them a while back.
They're great.
I don't think I've ever actually used them.
Awesome for showing the analytical information that you were talking about to the client, and also in terms of identifying talent within like LinkedIn, Indeed, Google+, all of them. So I would highly recommend it.
Like that, and that's for the. If I remember correctly, that's for the market intel to tell them like where these people are, where there's hubs of people, pockets of people that have that experience. Gotcha.
You know what else it's great for? It tells you what the competitors' alternate titles are for those people.
And that's helpful, right?
Yeah.
Very good.
Anybody
I
else
run into that sometimes. It's a tough with their job titles like as consultant, and it isn't. So if people are too narrow with their search, then they're eliminating them. Yep.
Right.
Anybody else got a question or comment for Holly Mallowes, Holly Source Guru on Twitter?
I'm going to give the show possibly the highest score in months.
I was just about. I have to log off, and I was just about to say this was the greatest show in so long. Thank you, everyone. Great show.
Yeah, and I got a split too. Thanks, Holly.
Good. Thank you, guys. This is really great.
Great job, Holly.
Nice to meet you. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
Nice meeting you guys.